We failed you. Accused you and banished you. And you prayed for the gods to punish us. So they inspired our enemies. And sent savages. They took our land, sieged our city, to slaughter husbands, wives, and children. We are the city you loved. But we are destined to be the world. Marcus Furius Camillus. Rome needs you.
Legion, it's Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play Rise of the Republic. Total War Rome 2's newest DLC has been out for about a week and takes us back to the beginning, to the early days of Rome itself. This time period is known as the second founding of Rome, and this series is going to be as story-driven and as character-driven as I can make it. The series title is Camillus, after the family of its main character. I'm going to be playing the full Roman campaign and beyond with the final objective of conquering Carthage. A little early, historically speaking. Along with Rise of the Republic, if you missed this, Rome 2 players received the free Ancestral update, at last introducing the family tree to the game, deepening diplomacy options, and bringing some welcome graphical updates to what is soon to be a 5-year-old game. This game's been around for 5 years, it's hard to believe. September 2013 was Rome 2's initial release, and we're still getting new DLC. It's a welcome shift from Creative Assembly, who appear to be taking a page out of Paradox's playbook by more continually updating and supporting their titles with substantial improvements after release, and they're starting by going back to Rome 2, the most recent title, or the first title from the most recent cycle of titles, and adding a bunch of new DLCs. This, of course, is the latest of that group. Like the Empire Divided DLC, we have an entirely new campaign map to explore, which defaults at 4 turns per year, while we dive into the other new systems introduced with the Ancestral update. In preparing for this series, I wanted to play a new series as Rome, of course, but focusing on the characters and following their development as much as possible. I thought that would make for a good story-driven way to slow the campaign down and explore the depths of the new family tree and gameplay systems. Every episode will begin and end in the spring, so as to cover a specific number of calendar years every episode. And I'm going to do my best, as I said, to keep up with the individual characters as they are born, as they age, and as they die. I'm going to play mostly on the campaign map, so we'll only fight battles when it's a turning point in the story and when it's critically important to take charge, or when we just want to show off a new unit or a powerful general for some reason, but most battles will be automatically resolved so we can keep the campaign-driven gameplay moving forward. I'm going to be using this series to introduce and showcase a mod I've released for Rome 2 as well, linked in the description below, which reduces campaign fog and generally makes the color of the fog and campaign map a little more vibrant and a little less gray. And with that, I'm sure you're just as ready to get started as I am, so let's jump into the campaign. So as I said, we're going to be playing as Rome, which is one of the 2 Italian civilizations, the others, of course, being the Etruscans of Tarquina. And there are a couple of Etruscan factions in the game. But let's begin just by going over what makes Rome special, and then I'll talk about some difficulty settings for the campaign. Central Italy has always been a land of warmth and generous fertility. Over the centuries, many tribes have become fascinated by its lush valleys, green forests, and abundant natural resources. The first Indo-European peoples arrived here in prehistoric times, and with ingenuity and independent spirit, some managed to grow into larger entities with their own political and economic significance. Among them were the Greek-influenced Etruscans and Samnites, who were the dominant Italic civilizations before the rise of the Romans. However, right now they dominate the region as best of friends and worst of enemies. So as an Italian civilization, we have the written knowledge bonus, so we have a 10% research boost, and we are destined for greatness, so we have a 50% bonus or a 50% penalty to the negative effect, which is foreign occupation. So we suffer 50% less public order issues from foreign occupation, which is quite nice. It makes us just a little bit hardier, a little bit more resilient when it comes to being conquered, which can help us get out of that situation a little more easily. And of course, we are playing as Rome. The start year for the campaign is 399 BC. The initial challenge, we'll talk about this in a second. But let's first talk about what makes Rome special. 100 years have passed since the expulsion of the last king from Rome, heralding the birth of the Roman Republic. It has been a glorious transformation that has changed the Roman state profoundly. It's also been a time of scarcity and hardship. Throughout this time, the newly born republic's territory has remained unchanged, encompassing limited areas around the city and along the Tiber, a tiny sleeve of land reaching the shore. Now, times are changing, and prosperity once again returns. Rome's ambitions will be quenched by nothing less than glory, prominence, and supremacy over all other peoples. In their path lie the sophisticated Etruscans to the north, the hordes of barbarian Gauls to the northeast, and the Latins and mountain tribes to the south. Rome's task is both difficult and perilous, but the task of her rivals is impossible and doomed to failure. So as Rome, we get the government action of periodically organizing elections for consuls or a dictator. And believe me, one of the main functions, one of the main aspects of this campaign is using every diplomatic and government ability you have at your disposal to win. It's not just about total war and fighting battles on the campaign map tactically and strategically and positioning your armies correctly anymore. There's a lot more diplomatically and family-wise even that you have to play. I mean, the politics update that came with Empire Divided really laid the foundations for some of the stuff that is critical to the family tree. So the two systems work together to create just a style of gameplay that is so much richer than, say, well, Roman Ascension, if you want to go back to the very beginning of the channel and the very first Total War that I played back when, yeah, that was a long time ago. But it's a lot different now. And those systems, yes, are just as much in the Grand Campaign as they are in this new campaign and this new campaign map. But they interact in just extraordinary ways, and you really have to play every single one to maximum effect. And you have to be careful, and you have to balance how your money goes into every single one. It's pretty intense, but we have the option as Rome to organize elections for consuls or a dictator. And then, of course, we have the Capitoline Hill Fortification, which is a bonus that is very unique to Rome. 2 battles are required for the city of Rome to fall. So we have a very unique type of capital city, which is quite nice because if Rome gets attacked once, we can still bring armies back and defeat whoever is attacking it before it actually falls. And unlike the Etruscans, we don't lose the game if we lose our capital. So if things get really bad, which is possible, then we could still win Rome back and continue with the series. So speaking of that, I'm going to be playing the series on normal difficulty. I thought about playing on hard, but if you've never played as Rome or seen Rome played in this expansion before, think of it as a Total War Attila style start, but without the imperial might or thousands of miles of buffer territory to protect you. So everyone is mostly trying to annihilate you, and you have no established frontier into which you can retreat. This is one of the last, if not the last, DLCs for Rome 2, and Creative Assembly clearly wanted to up the ante. In the beginning, even on lower difficulties, and I've been experimenting with it a lot this past week, your success really depends upon the random attributes generated for the Marcuses, which are your initial general and your champion. They both are named Marcus. Your wives and your first few diplomatic actions. You have to get lucky if you really want the beginning of the game to go semi-smoothly, if that. So I've gotten, as I said, a good bit of practice in, and this is a YouTube campaign, so I didn't want to begin with a totally random combination for those two characters, the main character and for the first champion. So I'll be playing using a specific start that the game rolled for me on normal difficulty, which I saved for this series as soon as I got it. After the narrator's done talking in a sec, the video will transition over to that save, and I'll show you why it's a good start. But as I said, we're going to play on normal because it's going to be hard enough as it begins. And everything after the kind of custom start that I've saved, I'm still at the mercy of the game, and things can still get really and truly intense, even with this combination of starting attributes.
Rome is at war. The Etruscans of Veii have been our enemies for many years, and since peace is out of the question, we must bring them down by force of arms. The proud Volsci of Latium are carefully observing the conflict. and will undoubtedly strike should we provoke their ire. In such a conflict, we might try to ally with the Hernici. Meanwhile, rumor has it that a new threat is stirring beyond the lands of the cowardly Sabines and docile Umbri. Be mindful, yet brave. May Mars watch over you.
Okay, before I switch over to the other save, let's take a quick look at our first objective. We need to hold 2 provinces in their entirety. We already have 1, and that's the province of Rome, and we will get a patrician as a reward. And as I said a moment ago, you can elect as Rome consuls or a dictator, which have different benefits depending on your needs, and using those in a timely fashion is going to be really important. So a couple of things that I want to note as I kick this off. I am running 2 mods, as a matter of fact. I'm running the mod that I mentioned in the introduction. So you will see as we look at the clouds, as we look at the fog, as you look into the distance, that the fog and just the campaign map fog in general behaves a little bit differently. You will see even more of the difference once we have taken back this fog of war, which, of course, the fog of war is always going to be there because it kind of hides what we haven't discovered yet. But once it's gone, the fog will be a lot less kind of overwhelming and suffocating over the campaign map. You can tell even when I zoom out here because it's not making everything a little bit more gray and ugly as I kind of take the camera out to its maximum distance here. So in addition to the fact that it reduces campaign map fog, also it tweaks just the season colors a little bit. It makes everything a little bit more vibrant. So yes, the clouds are a little brighter. The light here around the, construction indicators is a little bit brighter. And you'll see as we go through the seasons that the colors have a little bit more pop. I even tweaked the sea color a little bit to make it pop a little bit less with the improvement to just the vibrancy overall. So the sea is actually a little darker, but you can't tell because every color has been made a little bit more vibrant. Also, the other mod that I'm running is improved portholes, which I will link to that one in the description as well. And that just uses some lighting rules from Attila to make the character portraits look a little bit more well-defined and the shadows a little bit more, well-defined. It just makes them look better. So what is it about this save that made me go, oh my god, I'm saving this one for the second I start my campaign in Rise of the Republic on YouTube? Well, let's start with Marcus Furius Camillus, who is our faction leader and the namesake of the series, really. He is leading Legio I Laude, and he has this, he always has, this is not what's special, I'll show you that in a second, but he has his unit, which is a elite equites unit, and then 2 Roman swordsmen, centuriae, Latin tribesmen, and 2 exensi, which are the starting slingers. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the tribesmen right away. Watch what happens to our income when I do. Gives me a little bit more to work with each turn. Latin tribesmen are nice, and they give you a little bit of buffering to your army, but I'd rather have the extra gold per turn for other purposes. So when we examine Marcus, the first of the 2 Marcuses, to see what we like about him, he's a genius. He has extra authority, extra cunning, and extra zeal. The extra authority will increase the size of his aura of influence in battle. The extra cunning will reduce the cooldown rate of all of his special abilities, and the extra zeal, he has 2 extra zeal. The other point is coming from his loyal trait. This will give him additional weapon damage and missile damage for his personal unit, those elite equites. In addition to the fact that all of these give him improved chances of wounding enemy agents that try to hurt him. So that's pretty nice. We'll talk about his wife and the family in just a second, but we're going to move Marcus to Ostia. Rome can defend itself. If he needs to march back to defend Rome, then he can. I'd rather have my main force in Ostia in case this force decides to get a little frisky and come over here and take it from me. Now, Marcus Furius is our veteran. He's our initial champion. And he is a quartermaster. Genius commander, quartermaster champion. That is a really, really good combination to have in the opening of this game. So I'm going to go for military training, which, because he's a quartermaster, improves the... Well, military training doesn't do this, but his presence in joining up with Marcus's army improves the replenishment rate for the army, reduces his upkeep rates, and also reduces by a little bit more the land unit recruitment costs. And by putting him in military training, whether Marcus's army fights each turn or not, they will gain experience, which is pretty nice. So as soon as possible, they would have to fight every single turn to get the kind of benefits that Marcus is giving to Marcus's army. Yeah, they're both named Marcus, so there's going to be a lot. You're going to hear that name a lot over the first couple of episodes here. So with that being set up, let me go ahead and recruit my first few units. I can train 3 per turn. I'm going to minimize my expenses by going for 2 of the cheapest and 1 of the more expensive. We've trained our first really Roman light hoplite, because our only spearman unit is the Centuriae. We can't train these units right now. We have to research better technologies in order to get Roman swordsmen, the Centuriae, and the elite equites trained. But we can go ahead and finish our slinger complement and gain an additional spearman. So we'll eventually have 3 spearmen and this Centuriae, or we might do 4 spearmen. We'll see. But there's that. And now I would also like to go ahead and order the military camp to be built. In 3 turns, that means we will have the ability to unlock Italian cavalry, Roman swordsmen, and leves, which are basic javelin men. Not advanced javelin men, but basic javelin men. While I'm looking at building upgrades, there's one more that I want to do, which is that I want to go for a small farming colonia. This is a farming colony, so it makes sense to do that from a just consistency point of view, but also, on top of that, notice that the garrison for farming colonia provides 2 Italian cavalry, whereas I just get exensi here in the small civil colonia. So it's a similar size garrison, but when I go for the farming colonia, the extra units are Italian cavalry as opposed to slingers. I'd rather have the cavalry, plus the farming colonia provides an additional army recruitment capacity, which the civil colonia does not. And it improves growth per turn and doesn't have a public order bonus. So it's the better choice of the options available to me. We have the option of setting up an edict. I think I want to go for food and games. Yeah, that's what I typically do, because we're at 0 food right now. I want to make sure we don't have a shortage that will randomly trigger any what's the word I'm looking for? Attrition, which would then force my units to have to, well, it would force me to lose units, and then secondly, it would force me to have to spend the turn after that regaining whatever units I lost each turn, which just annoys the crap out of me to think about. So we're almost ready to take a look at the family. There's one more thing. Oh yes, that's right, technology. I have 2 choices. We're going to go for civil technology first, Romulus and Remus. In 2 turns, I will have 5% more taxes. In 3 turns, we will have the second legion done. It'll give us the additional recruitment slot. So in 5 turns, I'll have both of those abilities. I would rather have the 2 taxes, or the extra 5% taxes in 2 turns, than have this extra recruitment slot sooner. So with all that being said, we've almost used all of our money. There's a few more things we can do. Let's go ahead and meet the Furias. This is going to be, as I've mentioned, a very kind of character-driven campaign. I want to do my best to keep track of the traits of each character as they arrive, and the households of each character as they develop. It might get a little bit daunting when the family gets bigger later on in the campaign, but for now, let's go ahead, first of all, and give a few promotions, because the first promotions are free. They don't cost gravitas or gold. We're going to promote the family leader here, which will improve taxes in the area. I am protected from a civil war at the moment, and am for 20 turns, as a matter of fact. We're not going to do any elections at the moment, so I'll show you that system a little bit later. So, as far as the family is concerned, the patriarch of the family is, well, right now the family leader is Spurius Furius Medullinus. The father of these 3 brothers was Lucius Furius Medullinus, and his father's name was Spurius Furius Medullinus. So fairly consistent naming conventions so far. Here's what's interesting about this family. So their mother's name was Navia, and she died, it looks like, last year. So she's recently died. Marcus is 46. He's the eldest son. He's married to Albia, who is 28. His younger brother, Lucius Furius Medullinus, is 45. So he's a year younger. He is a consular tribune. So by virtue of being a consular tribune, he exerts additional cultural influence, he gains additional gravitas per turn, and he gives us 1 more recruitment slot in the province of Rome. If he were commanding units, he would provide 10% morale extra to all of those units. And then also, if he were on the field, agents would have a 20% less chance of succeeding against him. So he is one of the consular tribunes, even though he's younger than his brother. Check this out. The family leader is the youngest. He's 42. Okay? But his skill is Clementia, so he reduces our resistance to foreign occupation even more than we already have it reduced by virtue of being Italians. And he has the Inspire ability by virtue of that, as is normal for this initial skill. So you can see for all 3 of them, they all enable the Inspire ability. And he gets a 10% boost to the number of his battle captives if he leads an army. Now, I can go ahead and get a wife for either of these two. They're not married. But also, let's look at traits really quickly. Lucius Furius Camillus, you might have noticed, has some extra authority and zeal. The extra zeal comes from his skill. The extra authority, the extra 2 authority, actually comes from his humanitas. So he gets that, which is just a very basic additional trait, and then the Consular Tribune trait. However, you're about to find out why this guy's the family leader. He's a smooth talker. That's how he got the role. He talked his way into it, the bastard. Plus 2% tariff income from trade agreements faction-wide by virtue of being a smooth talker. That's also how he's the family leader. Jerk. He's also a military tribune, so he gets additional gravitas per turn. Any army that he leads would be a little bit cheaper to upkeep, and then he boosts taxes in the area and also provides additional loyalty, similar to the way the SPQR trait does for Marcus. So Spurius Furius Camillus, the youngest of the 3 brothers, is our family leader. So that'll come in handy for a couple of things. Right now, neither of them are married. However, either Lucius or Albia, our wife, can go on a diplomatic mission. This can be pretty harrowing, and it really comes down to the fact that this could kill the character, and very frequently does, as a matter of fact, when you go for a diplomatic action on this very first turn. But when you look at this marriage, by the way, Marcus also has 2 children, Spurius Furius Camillus and Lucius Furius Camillus. Now, again, when you look at this marriage, being married to Marcus actually gives Albia some additional gravitas and provides up to 5 extra, it's not 5 right now, but it could be up to 5 extra public order from the presence of our own culture. That doesn't really help us a whole lot, even if it needed to, I guess, because she's in Rome. She will always be in Rome. That will always only affect Rome. So this is for the local province. Again, even if Marcus were to go elsewhere, she will always ever be in Rome. So, not the most beneficial thing. Now check this out. She's a political wife. So this is why we might not mind if she dies. She's actually adding corruption to the faction by virtue of the fact that they are married. So you can read the quote here. No friends, everyone at the table tonight can be used. It will help us to better things. So because she's so political, we have more corruption in the faction at large, which is taking away from our income. Lucius can also be sent on the diplomatic mission, but frankly, I would rather keep him around. He's the consular tribune. He might be a good military leader. As a matter of fact, we will probably use him to lead our first fleet, which means we're going to send our wife on a diplomatic mission. We need to improve our relationship, as the narrator said a moment ago, with the Hernici. We're going to send her there. We already have a pretty good relationship with them, but we need it to be awesome. Because these are the Volsci, and in my experience, the Volsci cannot be stopped from declaring war on you early on. They can't. It could be possible if you get really, really lucky. I would guess that of all the things you have to get really lucky to avoid or achieve in this expansion, in this campaign map, as Rome, keeping the Volsci from declaring war on you could be the luckiest thing. So that's best case scenario. But the next best case scenario is if we manage to get the Hernici into a non-aggression pact and then a defensive alliance and maybe even a military alliance with us. And that will require several diplomatic missions to go well. So we need lots of rolls of the dice to go particularly well. We're out of money because that diplomatic mission did cost us some gold. I'm going to go ahead and attempt a non-aggression pact. They're not interested. However, let's check with the Sabines. Ooh. Okay, the Sabines aren't quite there yet, but if we can treat with them and potentially get them to a non-aggression pact, that will help a lot. There we go. So we've got a non-aggression pact with the Etruscans of Tarcuna, and that is all we can do for our first turn, the spring of 399 BC. So we're not going to expand Rome or Ostia just yet. There's no point to doing so. As a matter of fact, if I do it too soon and then forget that I've done it, we'll get slums, and that'll ruin our food situation and public order situation, and I don't want that to happen. So we're going to end the turn. And cross your fingers that Albia survives. It's not likely. I've done this a few times. Okay, well, she survived, but that's not good, because, I mean, yes, killing her would have been bad for diplomacy as well, But we still can use her for a turn, and our relationship with the Hernesy has gone down as opposed to up. And for a couple of turns, actually, we can't take advantage of her diplomatic abilities. So first things first, let's go ahead and train some more troops. I am going to go ahead and train... No. I don't want to use extra gold. So we're just going to do the 2 more spearmen and leave it at that. In 2 more turns, we will have the military camp done, and we'll be able to train the swordsmen and some equites for Legio 1 Laude. So I've got some gold. I think I want to use it on the diplomatic screen here. We need to procure some additional wives. That's what's needed here. Let's go ahead and marry Spurius Furius Camillus. All right, so Memia Ahenobarba has been married to Spurius. She's a faithful wife. Okay, so him being married to her is good. Additional chance for having children for the family, and she provides him with additional zeal. Memia Ahenobarba, nice. Okay, so this is a fundamentally good marriage. There is extra security now against cunning agent actions in our territory by virtue of this marriage. Not bad. I'm going to go ahead and promote her. She now has 6 cunning, and it looks like she has the personal tutor joining her household. Where's she getting the extra cunning from? Oh, it's a cunning bonus. Nice. Okay, so this means having her with 6 cunning means she will also be able to embezzle funds. She just needs the gravitas to do it. So that is an additional means to get money, especially early on. That's very, very good news for us. All of the... Again, aside from the fact that I had the custom start that I rolled multiple times to make happen, and I'm sure it was really lucky, all of this is random. So I'm really grateful for that because it could go the other way. I hate that Albia got hurt. She's going to be wounded for... there's no way to tell. I think wounds last... I can't recall. But Lucius Furius Camillus will also need a wife at some point. But that is all I can do for the summer of 399. Let's go ahead and... we've got you recruiting. Let's end our turn.
Rome will be proud of her son.
Alright, we've completed the tax upgrade. And Marcus Furius has leveled up. Very nice. Let me zoom out for a bit just so you can see the fall coloring. Again, just a little bit more color pop.
We are ready to do battle.
Alright, so the first upgrade that I want to give to Marcus Furius Camillus is the Drill Sergeant promotion. This will give him additional authority. It'll improve the melee attack skill and defense skill for Marcus Furius Camillus's his commanding unit, his elite equites, but it also provides 40 experience more per turn for the Parent Army. So right now, we are gaining 100 unit experience per turn, as opposed to just 60, which is quite nice. Also because we're garrisoned, we're getting additional morale and instilling additional public order. So I don't think there's any other training I can do this turn, which is nice because it means we get to save our money for other things. In 1 turn, we are going to have the barracks finished. So, also, let's go ahead and queue up the 2nd Legion technology. Albia is still wounded. Memia Ahenobarba, I almost don't want to send her on a mission. I would rather just promote her because her having cunning, the ability to embezzle, she just needs the gravitas to do it, is the most important thing. She can assassinate characters that I don't like either. So that's pretty handy. I think I'm going to keep her around. Let's go ahead and marry Lucius Furius Camillus and see how lucky he can get. Decia Gemella is his wife. Oh, she's unfaithful. Oh, wow. That's an absolutely terrible marriage. I can divorce her, thankfully, which is good because it means we get to keep her in the faction and use her as a diplomat, but we no longer have the negative effects of her presence. So that's a pretty handy thing, I have to say. Do I want to go ahead and send her on a mission? I could. That would be something that I could use I could also have her just... Because she has no gravitas at the moment, I can have her commit suicide. It does provide loyalty to other parties. It's so interesting that you can do that. I think I will go ahead and send her on the diplomatic mission, because there's no one else that I can. So we'll send her to treat with the Hernesy and hope that her mission goes better than Albia's did, excuse me. Okay, and we literally have no money left. That was all of our money. Next turn, we're going to be able to train some more units. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Moving into the winter of 399. Or of 398, rather. Okay, we returned accompanied by a famous scholar. Increased research rate for the civil technology tree. So, Albia is no longer wounded either. That's good news. Okay, so, before I do anything else... Yeah, see, I really want... We only have that bonus for how many turns? 3 turns. There's a 10% bonus to our civil research rate. So it would behoove me to be doing civics research right now so as not to waste that. This would enable the recruitment of rank 1 dignitaries, but we wouldn't get these military bonuses as soon. I think I'm gonna stay focused on the military technologies. We need those as soon as possible, especially if the Volsci declare war on us sooner. So because we had a successful interaction there, the Hernesy are now a little bit friendlier towards us. As a matter of fact, yeah, their total attitude is now 40.
Be most welcome.
Let's see if we can get a non-aggression pact. Okay, we've got that. A defensive alliance is not likely. Let's check with the Sabines.
In the name of the state, welcome.
Good! Okay, we have a non-aggression pact with the Sabines, with the Hernesy, and with the Tarcuna. And let's see, I mean...
In the name of the state,
okay, we can't trade with the Sabines yet. But they can be one of the more annoying factions that can declare on you early on. So for that to happen early on was phenomenal. Okay, I just need 2 more swordsmen, which will fill up my swordsman complement. And I think what I will do... I'm not going to spend any more money this turn. Hang on, is there anything that would be worth spending money on? Not really. You're going to have a decent amount of gravitas next turn. You might be able to embezzle some funds. I can promote you. That doesn't cost me anything. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything worth spending money on. We can spread rumors. We can entice another party member to join our cause. Is there anyone worth enticing? And how much money would it cost me? It actually would only cost gravitas, but I'd rather save the gravitas for embezzling funds. Because we're going to need that money. So, I don't think anyone is on a diplomatic mission, are they? No, none at the moment. I'm glad that went well. Even though we're forsaking the civil research benefit for now. I do want to expand these territories, believe me, but it's not where the money needs to go right now. So let's go ahead and end the turn.
Mars be praised.
There we go. Our champion has leveled up again. This diligent man has a wealth of experience and continues to hone his abilities. War declared. Oh, the Hernesy and the Volsci are at war. That's not a good thing. Hang on.
Your people's reputation goes before you. Find a welcome here and speak as you wish.
That's not good. I mean, if the Volsci are declaring war on them, at least they'll be distracted, but it looks like the Volsci are already in range of an Agni, so that means the Volsci are going to set their eyes on us very soon. All the more reason to go ahead and train our units up. Let's go ahead and improve Drill Sergeant, so we have even more experience per turn, and improve that melee attack ability, and this is our last round of training for this army. It's really just the cavalry that I need, and there we go. That's it. That does mean, unfortunately, I can't embezzle just yet. It's going to be the next turn that I can embezzle with Memia. I'll probably use that for some promotions. But there's nothing else that I can do right now. Unless someone else can embezzle somehow. No. Of course not. Alright, thankfully, the population of Roma is now encouraged, so we have additional taxes coming in, and the province is growing more per turn. That's the good news. But things next door just got a little ugly. Alright, the Second Legion's research project is completed. Alright, that's it. The Hernicy have been conquered. We could take Antium right now. Oh, no, we couldn't. We're not close enough. We could, though. If they don't get that army back in time, we could take it. But the issue is then we wouldn't be able to defend Ostia. So the fun is about to begin. I'm going to go ahead. We have our first military technologies to select. This is why we stuck to this. I will go for iron over bronze first. If the Volsci declare war on me, because they're an Italian faction, having this sooner could be good. And I feel like they might be about to declare. This provides extra armor and weapon damage for everyone. I'll go for that first, but then we'll go for that, and then for that, which is a cavalry bonus. And then once that entire tree is finished, we're going to get extra experience ranks for all infantry recruits. Okay, so now begins a little game of chicken. We're going to put this unit here in the woods. They won't be able to ambush anyone here, because no one's going to march straight through those woods. They'll follow the roads. But this way, the Veii will look around and think, hey, there's no army defending Rome, or anything. Let's attack it. And then we'll make fools of them. Alright, so we've got a Volsci diplomat here. Probably about to cause trouble. Trade agreement dissolved, yeah. Faction destroyed, yeah. Oh, I'm sad. That's unfortunate. Now we can embezzle funds. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to use that to do a couple of things. First of all, I am going to promote Memia Ahenobarbara so that so we're using some of the money we just gained, still have plenty, so that she gains influence more rapidly, because she can help us steal money, basically. Now, there are some additional things that I can do. I kind of want to secure a promotion for you as well. That's a little bit... That's using up some of my money. Oh, speaking of that, hang on. Let's go ahead and get the canal going. So that will give a public order and a growth bonus. Give us room for more buildings before long. We're down to 956 gold. There's still enough to do something if we wanted to. We could send Decia on a mission. We could also marry her and get an additional male faction member, which could be good. Could even be good for the family, depending on what bonuses they get. I'll send her for now on just a diplomatic mission. I'm going to send her on a diplomatic mission to the Sabines. We're going to see if we can get a good relationship going with them. And it looks like we do have, for some of our characters, the option of... Alright, you already have a personal tutor, so the character that needs more gravitas is already getting some. That's great news. Tell you what, let's give this to... Well... No, I'm going to give it to Marcus. It makes sense for Marcus, our faction leader, to have the first household expansion. He's going to get a personal tutor. Alright, I think that's all. Let's go ahead and end the... Well, hang on. Yeah, she's on a mission. Our two sons, by the way, of Spurius Furius Camillus and Lucius Furius Camillus. So popular names in the family, for sure. Let me end the turn. And the Veii are more than likely to pounce. There they are. Settlement under siege. Your settlement is under siege. Without supplies, the people will face starvation and may be compelled to surrender. Sally out with local forces or bring reinforcements. Yikes. Okay, so failed diplomacy. Decia Gamella is dead. That kind of sucks. I liked having that extra character. Well, let's go ahead and get another wife for Lucius and see how that goes. Aemilia Regula is his wife. She's a spendthrift, which reduces public order but increases the tax rate in the local province pretty substantially. Ooh. She is not going to get a lot of gravitas per turn. Yeah, she's not that great of a wife. She's really not. She's dead now. I didn't want to wait to divorce her. I didn't. So I did just use some of my gravitas, unfortunately, which could have been used to embezzle. But we've got to get some good wives, and that was not a good marriage. So I will stick to that decision. Albia could... You know, we could give the family leader some additional gravitas by giving him a personal tutor as well. So let's do that. And now it seems like the Veii need a lesson taught to him. This is going to go well, so we will not fight the battle on the field. Yeah, overwhelmingly, we are going to win this battle. There wouldn't be much suspense to fighting this on the field, so I'm going to fight with a... Let's do a balanced stance. We want to do a little bit more damage to his troops. And I want to go for release captives to maximize the wealth I gain from that victory. This diligent man has a wealth of experience and continues to hone his abilities. Very good. And I will go ahead and give him additional authority. Now...
The Roman army is a force to be reckoned with.
Alright, I'm going to attack. I'm a little bit worried about losing my horsemen. Italian cavalry suck. FYI. They're terrible. I'm going to go for the balanced stance because it's saying the remaining force on protective stance is actually lower. I'm really hoping I don't lose. Shot to the balls. There we go. It's always amusing every time I see that. Good! Didn't lose my horsemen. I didn't want them to lose experience. And we're going to release those captives. So we now have leveled up the army as well. Let's put them in rapid march. Bring them back to Roma. And we are going to give them probably... Barbarian subjugators, stalwart defenders, or accomplished skirmishers. I'm going to give them accomplished skirmishers, just make them a more powerful unit in that sense. I'm actually going to march this army straight down to Ostia, so they defend that city. And because we got some money, I'm going to order the military wharf in Ostia. Obvious reasons. We'll provide an additional garrison in the town. So with that being done, let's see what else we can do, if anything. No, not... Whoa, hang on. Did I see another character with a... Okay, so there's a healer, which would give additional authority to Albia. Are there any abilities that require 6 authority? Gather support. This guy having healer could be good. Lucius Furius Camillus could be used to gather support and change the influence situation. Let's go ahead and end the turn. The first assault on Rome has been repelled. And we might have an opportunity to sack Sisera for some additional gold if we can let these units repair fast enough. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and fortify them so that we gain that little replenishment rate bonus. It also gives improved melee defense, which is not bad. Alright, so we can remarry Lucius Camillus. I think I would rather... Yeah, let's remarry him. Alright, so he has a decorous wife, 5% corruption, +1 gravitas per turn, and a protective husband. Ugh. So she provides him additional gravitas, but we're probably going to divorce her. Divorcing takes 40 gravitas. Yeah, we're probably going to divorce Suetonia Rufa, because that's not a good marriage either. So, a couple of bad marriages in a row, unfortunately, for Lucius. But let's go ahead and end this turn. And with this, we'll probably end the first episode as well, because we're going to be moving into spring. So we're 2 turns away from finishing Iron over Bronze, which will give us better armor and better weapon damage. And we might be able to regenerate these units. Here's the thing. By the time these units have fully replenished... Yeah, this is going to take 4 turns to fully replenish the horse units. 2 turns to fully replenish the spearmen. Maybe we'll just wait on the spearmen. But the thing is, we can't wait too long because we don't have the ability to literally sack a city as Rome. I could mod it in. I don't want to. We're trying to play vanilla for this campaign at least. But because we can't sack a city, if we were to loot Cicero, we would be stuck there for 1 turn. And we would get stuck, and a counterattacking force could come down and kill Marcus Furius Camillus, which I really don't want to happen. So let's go ahead and... Obviously, none of us want that to happen, hopefully. Let's end the turn here. And with that, the Volsci haven't declared war on me yet. And Marcus Furius has leveled up. That's good, but we're going to deal with that in the beginning of the next episode. It is 397 BC. 2 years have passed. And our next move is going to be to try and get a little bit of money from these guys, or possibly counterattack against the Volsci, because they are coming for me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this first episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes in the series are going to be coming out every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's when I typically do historical and grand strategy style content that's not in a sci-fi vein. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.